originally posted this video a year or so ago. Unfortunately, I had to take it down temporarily, but the good news is this video is back. And I wanted to say something new, and that's that in the 2 years or so I've had the Chroma Console now, I keep picking it up. And I can genuinely say this is one of the most inspiring pieces of music equipment that I've ever owned in terms of coming up with creative sounds, in terms of finding interesting and new sounds with instruments that are old and familiar. I think this is probably one of the best pieces of gear of the decade. I think this is one of those things that's going to stick around for a long time. So I just wanted to say that I'm grateful to Hologram for sponsoring this video. They originally sponsored this video, and I'm proud to post it again today. So without further ado, here's my video on the Chroma Console.
How you paint with watercolor depends upon how you see the world around you. And how you use the medium. Even a small paint box like this one will provide a wide range of color. When the strokes of color are overlaid, very subtle color effects may be achieved. All the parts of the painting are developed together and in relation to each other. Each of you, by experimenting and by learning about the medium, can find your own way of using watercolor.
Hey, how's it going? If you're new to the channel, one thing that I love to do over here is to take ephemeral audio, video, forgotten media from the past, chop it up, and use it to create new music. So that's what I did on the intro song you just heard. That was actually from a 1960s watercolor tutorial video, directed and produced by Stelios Rakos in, I think, 1969. I took that voiceover and some of that footage, and then I created 5 musical layers myself. So what I'm gonna do in this video, rather than just like telling you about how to use this pedal, I figured I'd show you. So I am gonna show you the 5 parts that I came up with and how this was a part of the creative process. And then at the end of the video, I'm gonna talk briefly and give you some of my honest assessments and observations about this pedal. And hopefully by the end of this video, you can decide for yourself if it is a good piece of gear for you. So to be clear, this is a sponsored video, but I want you to know I do not accept bulleted talking point lists from anyone. I don't make videos about gear that I don't like, that I don't genuinely believe in. In fact, I send a lot of gear back. I just won't make a video about it. I'll send it back. So I've had this pedal for 6 months, and I just now feel like I'm at a place where I can make an informed video for you. Your trust in me and my voice on this channel is really important to me, so I just want to be clear. If something's sponsored, I'll always tell you, but I don't ever let anyone tell me what to say. Okay, now that that's out of the way, 5 musical layers using the Chroma Console. For the bass tone, I reached out to Hologram to see what they thought would be cool. So Jack at Hologram gave me some great tips. I ended up with this sound for this track. One of the main things is the texture using the cassette. That's one of my favorite things about this pedal, kind of across the board. That gives us some subtle compression. It gives us some stereo width and a little bit of pitch variation. And if you dial those sort of concepts in right on bass, it can help the bass find its place in a song. It can kind of like slink down into the low end and kind of find this space with the stereo image. It doesn't always work on bass, but I think for this track, I think it worked pretty well. In addition to that, I'm using the sweeten in the character, sort of a subtle drive. In the movement section, I'm using vibrato. I'm also using the reels under diffusion. Time bass effects don't always work on bass, but I think it's a cool effect and it kind of reads like a tape machine. Well, without the Chroma Console, it sounds like this. With it, I mean, that's just fun. That's fun to play. Like, I like it because it feels old school, but it also feels fresh. Thank you, Jack, for the recommendations. I didn't write that part until I found that tone. I think sometimes parts lead you to the tone, but sometimes the tone leads you to the parts. And I think that's something that I like about this little box is you just start finding fun sounds and you just can't help but start to discover parts. It's just a little box of colorful creativity. Okay, here's I can't focus. Okay, it's better. Okay, so for this quirky guitar part, I'm using a combination of things. I've got the sweeten on, so some subtle drive, and then the main thing you're hearing is the pitch shift. So I have that up an octave and blended it at maybe like 67%. And then I've got the broken texture, so kind of like a broken warbly thing going on. All of that together is taking the guitar sound from this to this. This song started with this part, and this part started with this setting. Like I was just messing around with the guitar. This is ribbon mic going into the color box, which has XLR in and then a 1/4 inch out. So this is how I'm using a guitar pedal with the microphone. But I was just like, oh, what could happen with an acoustic guitar with a microphone? And I got to that pitch section, and then all of a sudden I just played this. And I recorded it because I thought it was cool. And then I came back to it the next day and I was like, maybe that should be what I build the song around, that little motif. Sometimes creativity works that way. One of the hardest instruments to play and the most fun. I think the oldest electric instrument, and also the only instrument that I know of that you play without actually touching. This one controls the pitch, and then this one controls the volume. I'm using a little pitch correction. Without the Chroma Console, it's cool. Put on some howl on the character, which is like a really sort of aggressive, ghostly drive sound, and then use some space for reverb. So without it, it sounds like this, but with it, that's fun, right? Using something like the Chroma Console makes it sort of brought this into a fresh light for me and sort of turned it into more of like a sound design tool. This made it really fresh and fun. So maybe there's an instrument that you have not really been playing that much that the Chroma Console might sort of reactivate or bring a new inspiration to. Went with something outside of the box, went with a phaser and a little bit of a cassette. Without that, it sounds like this. But with that, it sounds like this. Not a typical nylon string guitar sound, but I thought it was kind of fun. Okay, so for the Moog sound, I'm using diffusion set to space, and then for texture, I'm using cassette. So we have like a vibey reverb, and then also some sort of like cassette texture warble. Without the Chroma Console, you have this. But with the Chroma Console, you have this. Which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so is this thing right for you? Here are my honest thoughts, unscripted thoughts. Is this for every bass player? No, I don't think this is for every bass player. This is not like your Desert Island preamp DI pedal. It's just not. I wouldn't think of it that way. I wouldn't compare it to other things like that. Like there's no XLR out on it. Like, this is not like your meat and potatoes based tone box. It's not trying to be. I think this is more of a creative box. I think this is for a specific bass player. I think this is for someone that really likes creative and or quirky bass sounds, but also has a sort of analog mindset. What do I mean by that? There are a lot of fun, quirky, interesting, textured, usable sounds in this that can be found without ever looking at a screen, without ever going into a menu, without ever updating your firmware or downloading presets. Some people love to do those things. If that's your thing, that's cool. That is not my thing. I sort of endure those things so that I can get to making the music. So this is a piece of gear where you don't have to do that. You can plug in and start turning knobs and pressing buttons and finding fun, usable, weird, cool sounds. So if you're into that kind of thing, I think this is great. If you're a multi-instrumentalist where you're playing some guitar, some keys, some different synths, different sounds, this is definitely really helpful in terms of the amount of value you get in one piece of gear. This cannot do everything, but the things that are in here I think are really good. I couldn't in one video talk about all the things that this can do, but there's some other really cool bass sounds that I've found. The squash compressor is like a very creative compressor. We talk a lot about compression on this channel. I think sometimes compression can be a crutch for sloppy playing, or it can be a creative tool, like a vibey compressor. This is a very vibey compressor. There's some really usable saturation with the drive, the sweet, and the fuzz, and the howl. Like, there's some really cool sounds to be had in there. And then there's all kinds of like stereo and time-based effects. I think this is just a studio creativity box. So is it for everybody? No, I don't think so. But I think it's just right for some people. I think it was just right for me. I'm going to keep using this. I'll say I think of everything I tried out in 2024. I don't know if I should say definitively this was my favorite thing, but it's definitely up there. I think this is one of my favorite pieces of gear I tried throughout the whole year. And it's something that I'm going to keep using on the channel moving forward to make some weird music. You'll hear it again. So huge thank you to Hologram for sponsoring this video. I'll put a link to their website where you can check this out and learn a little more. Thanks for hanging out, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video.
Watercolors in tubes are used on a palette, which may be a white plate or an enamel tray.
Future Philip here again. I stand by everything I said in the video. I do want to say one of my favorite things specifically about this pedal for bass is those wide sort of stereo sounds. I don't always need stereo bass. Oftentimes mono is just what the song needs, but every once in a while you want a bass sound that goes around the song. And I've had really good results with finding wide sounds with this, or taking a mono source and making it wide. Not just on bass, but on acoustic guitar or different sound design stuff. That's one of my favorite things about this, is getting interesting stereo textures from not interesting mono sources. This is going to be one of those pieces of gear that I will never sell. I will always have this in the studio, and I'm going to keep using it, hopefully for a really long time. So thank you to Hologram for originally sponsoring this video, and thank you to you for watching. I'll hopefully see you in another video soon.